Hinduism under the constitution is an agglomeration of multiple identities within. So Jains, Buddhists, Sikhs are all seen as constitutionally Hindus. If you look at the definition of Hinduism, one is what is the core of it. The Vedic religion is seen as the core of it. And if Vedic religion is seen as the core of it, Sanatana Dharma is the same as Vedic religion for all practical purposes. So the centrality or that particular faith system or that particular core which gives centrality to the Vedic position is the Vedic religion, and therefore that is seen as the Brahminical religion, so on and so forth. Arya Samajis see themselves as followers of the Veda.
Yeah, correct.
But their position is, we stick to the Veda to such an extent that all other Vedic knowledge that has come out, let's say Agama Shastra, Jyotisha, whatnot, we reject that.
So now tell me, what is the difference between these, right? The Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, Hindutva, are they linked at all?
See, it's like this. You have to take a look at the debates surrounding the definition of Hindu in the Constituent Assembly as to how they chose to group it all together, right? So Hinduism under the constitution is an agglomeration of multiple identities within. So Jains, Buddhists, Sikhs are all seen as constitutionally Hindus.
It's a little odd, no?
Why?
Don't the Jains, the Jains don't
They
consider
would
themselves
want
a minority?
See, here's the thing. You can consider yourself a minority from the perspective of section 20 or rather article 29 as a cultural minority and still be part of Hinduism. Okay. There is no contradiction between the two. There's no conflict between the two positions. The important point is, if you look at the definition of Hinduism, one is what is the core of it. The Vedic religion is seen as the core of it. And if Vedic religion is seen as the core of it, Sanatana Dharma is the same as Vedic religion for all practical purposes. Now then you have
Isn't Sanatana Dharma from the Upanishads and...
Can that be outside the Vedic tradition when you speak of the Upanishads? It has to be. Okay. Upanishad is Vedanta.
Because the Arya Samajis say that is what separates them from
So that's what I'm coming to.
Okay.
So this is the core. From there, you're looking at the Buddhist offshoot. From there, you're looking at the Shramana or the Jain offshoot. The difference primarily being whether they treat Veda as the primary authority with respect to what is Dharma and on the path to the Supreme or the Brahman. Okay. The difference in these positions is what is the primary pramana or the primary proof or evidence. Okay. So the centrality or that particular faith system or that particular core which gives centrality to the Vedic position is the Vedic religion, and therefore that is seen as the Brahminical religion, so on and so forth. Other offshoots are also part of the larger dharmic fold, but which do not give centrality to the Vedas. That is our distinction of the Astika and the Nastika, not the atheist and the theist. Those who give centrality to Vedas are seen as the Astic, and those who don't are seen as the Nastika. Then...
Not of the book?
So not of the book.
Not
of this book. Correct.
Then you're saying...
Correct.
Okay.
Then when you look at Arya Samajis, that is a relatively later movement of Swami Dayananda Saraswati.
It's a
very...
Brahmo Samaj.
Correct. So each of these see themselves as part of the dharmic fold of the Hindu fold, but they may have differences of opinion with the... In fact...
The Bhakti movement...
Arya Samajis see themselves as followers of the Veda.
Yeah, correct.
But their position is, we stick to the Veda to such an extent that all other Vedic knowledge that has come out, let's say Agama Shastra, Jyotisha, whatnot, we reject that. So they are literalists when it comes to the interpretation of the Veda.
And the idols.
Right? They don't see themselves as Murti Pujaks. This is broadly the distinction. I am here making an academic distinction. I have no interest in offending these sentiments because for me they are part of the Hindu fold.
Correct.
I may have disagreements with several of these sects as a practitioner of the Vedic faith, but nevertheless, I am not going to sit and offend these sentiments today, because if you're a practitioner of the Hindu belief system, the idea is to make sure that you don't create fissures within the fold as much as possible. You have a conversation, but you try not to create fissures. Anyways, this is
It's an adhyatmic discussion anyway.
It is an adhyatmic discussion, right? And if you see some of the exchanges, these adhyatmic exchanges, the language actually gets fairly violent. Okay. In any case, I'll just come back to this. So when someone says Sanatana Dharma is not the same as Hinduism, that may be definitionally fine. But the fact is, Sanatana Dharma is the core of Hinduism. And therefore, under the law, even an insult to a part of the faith is an insult of the faith itself. So assume for a moment, I were to take pot shots at a particular group of a particular faith system. Will they not have the right to invoke the law, saying that these sentiments have been offended under a religious basket? Pentecostals can say something. The Seventh-day Methodists can say something. Each of them has the right to the same protection as a Christian would, because they're all seen as being part of the Christian fold. So you don't get to say that they are so divergent. To say that one is not entirely the same as the other is to strike a distinction between the superset and the subset. Right? There's an umbrella, there's a smaller umbrella. But nevertheless, the smaller umbrella is within the bigger umbrella. And most importantly, in this case, Sanatana Dharma is the core of the Hindu faith system. Everybody else establishes their identity by distinguishing themselves from the core faith system, because this is the yardstick, this is the norm, this is the benchmark.
So constitutionally, what is Hinduism and who is a Hindu? Because there are competing theories.
There is no definition of a Hindu as to what makes a Hindu a Hindu. Who is a Hindu is identified. If you're a Sikh, this is based on self-identification in that particular sense. However, what are the principles of Hindu Dharma have been culled out and distilled in several judgments of the Supreme Court, citing works of Ramakrishna Mission and so on and so forth. There's a longish discussion that's been undertaken there. So what is a Hindu? One who believes in the concept of karma. One who believes in the concept of, therefore, reincarnation. One who believes in the context of, in the concept of Brahman, the supreme consciousness. There are some common precepts that the Supreme Court has actually identified as what constitutes a Hindu by definition.
But there might be Hindus who don't
There
believe
might
in it,
be.
but still you're a Hindu.
You're still a Hindu. So the larger definition is that if it is a faith system that is native to this land, it is seen as Hinduism. Otherwise, tribals, how would you call them Hindu? The definition, if these were the yardsticks and this is how you go about it, how do you then call tribals Hindus? The reason is they are native to this particular geography. Their faith system is native to this particular geography, which is why here is the enmeshing between the geographical aspect of the word Hindu and the religious aspect of the word Hindu. A faith system which has emanated from this land is largely within the broad fold of Hinduism. That would include animism. That would include several practices even in the Northeast. You have to ask this question, are Maitais Hindus or not? That will take us in a slightly different direction.